So what has happened is that in this episode I was supposed to be stepping back for actually the first time in the series to take a full overview of the whole farmlet, the whole map of our territory, where earlier in the series I was kind of bailed up in the situation that everything was just overgrown and weeds were everywhere, so the bigger picture only needed to be comprehensible as far as we were pursuing our goals to alleviate the immediate situation. Now we get a chance to finally see it all and see how our strategy forms behind the driving spearhead of establishing our new buildings. So this episode is all about this overview and bringing the recovery phase to a conclusion as we inspect the full perimeter of the property, which reveals a lot of where we have taken the most damage hitherto this recovery mission commencing. And that means we can move forward aware of where we've taken various setbacks, wasted efforts on a failed operation, mainly where we've lost more trees and they're swallowed into the weeds along our outer perimeter, and crucial spots where we still haven't managed to establish any of the tree cover that we need in the property in some of these more remote spots. So trees mean more shelter and less mowing. And now that the mower issue is fixed, I'm bringing home some quite nice specimens there from the Bunnings clearance table for just 10 or 20 bucks, and those are certainly going to be picking up the tree game up around here within a couple of years. And this overview and perimeter tour was going to funnel neatly into our spearhead strategy to establish a new building. See, but because I've slipped off the pace from blitzing forward here, you might see I already clearly have a new building sitting right here, but it is not really a habitable building, and it's certainly not in the right place right now. And these are all issues related to executing this strategic move that are all really meant for next episode. So we will acknowledge that this building is there and that the strategy was not executed perfectly as we now make our way around the perimeter to see how a full overview of the whole leads to a strategic focus on heading on over to our new building area. We are following now the cardboard path that I have been laying down. I'm not really collecting so much cardboard now because I've got enough that those cardboard gains are pretty much maxed out, and this is taking us past some of the most established trees that were planted when I first bought the place, because it blocks this terrible southwest wind. And we are now looking to fill this area with trees, the first of 3 tree planting areas, and here we emerge some mini farmlet activity base established by my vassals, and you will see this whole territory here is governed by my vassals who provide tribute from the buildings that they occupy in the form of gold. Also, most obviously, it's looking pretty well maintained. So my concern here is only that because they spend so much time mowing this area, that a lot of time and energy that could be better directed towards permanent infrastructure upgrade, this windbreak you might see. So although the main castle here that you see is what generates the most gold, it costs disproportionately a lot more gold to maintain than these smaller buildings. This is why we use the gold that we gain from the house to develop these smaller buildings, and why those smaller buildings have so much more headroom for maxing out gains. And I've played out so wide with so many of the small cabins you see that there is so much game to build up on top. And so we can take a little detour into the garden to see some developments quickly on this extended food area battle theatre down here, which began, you might remember, with just this cardboard blanketing as a staging for the main assault that is now thoroughly underway. And this will now work us around to the new building area which we have been discussing. We want to develop this area for a new NPC vassal who will generate gold and various bonuses. And as we make our way over the bridge to the island, you can see all the preparations I am laying down to generally ready this area for use, as this could be used for a variety of purposes, starting really as perhaps an alternative car park, so it's convenient and easy to keep vehicles tucked away, or it could have another use as long as it is flat and firm and weed free. All you have to remember is your clearance from the boundary here. You don't want to put buildings too close to the road because the council can tell them you gotta move, and this here is just too close. But here you're going to see those Bunnings trees on special that I've been grabbing up and going along this line. This is our second of 3 tree planting areas for additional shelter and privacy, but also to get a decent screen off from the underpass where the cows come by, and for whoever is going to be living just over here to maybe get a little bit less smell and noise. But we come to one of the first scenes of defeat, where along here quite a few trees have just been swallowed up. Somehow we have this orange tree here that has lasted a fighting battle for years, but every other tree seedling along here got wiped except for one little pittosporum that survived inside of a water bottle, and then when I whipped the bottle off it was immediately vulnerable and reduced to what you see here. So now we're just going to whip around the back end of the property where it's really the least developed, but you will see the cardboard prevailing, the cardboard pathway that takes us past this area I've already marked out as our main animal area, where I'm going to get a really decent fence built. This is the key. I don't want to be chasing sheep around for hours because I've done it and you don't want to be doing it. And now here we go, getting to the back end of the property. I can probably just reveal a few photos of how this used to be. A trash pile that was here for years. My big plan has been to dig into this rise, and the longer term vision for developing a more productive outlook rather than the phase we're in right now, which is still kind of foundational, very much more obvious at this side of the property where it's still a paddock with some junk lying around. But you will understand the reason why I've not even put the cardboard down here, because the plan is that as soon as I'm confident to get the digger in and use it myself, then these projects can be underway. In fact, I actually want to bury a container here for an underground lair. But before I get too well projecting those plans, let's close up this episode by completing the perimeter ring and visiting this border area here, where we have just failed again and again and again to get the trees going. I lost a bunch of nice trees here, and so of the 3 main areas we visited where our trees are going in, this is where we've had so many problems, and we need to really make sure we're backing up our efforts to try and complete this southwestern windscreen that faces the wind over here on the worst side. So this was this first chance to take a full overview of the property by touring the perimeter and looking at various projects and their status while I'm describing why I'm putting my focus on getting this new building area set up, which we're really going to focus on next episode, with a massive spoiler that this building has already appeared in the wrong bloody place. So we're going to break down the whole situation as that has unfolded next time. Yeah, right here on the Farmlet Quest.